Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and you are watching my first impressions video of the anime for Shokugeki no Soma, aka Food Wars. And the reason why I say it's my first impressions of the anime is because I read the manga and I review it, so I already know what happens, and therefore I can't really give you my first impressions of the series as a whole. Okay? All I can really tell you are my first impressions of the anime, and so far I have been pleasantly surprised. Um, when I heard that JC Staff was going to be doing the animation, I got worried for a second because with JC Staff, you never know what you're going to get. Sometimes they're really good, and other times they're not. They're not as consistent as a studio like Madhouse or UFO Table or Bones. You know, like they're not as consistent. Though I say Bones, but right now they're doing Blood Blockade Battlefront, which I don't care about at all, and may actually end up dropping soon. Though to be fair, I haven't been paying too much attention, especially in that last episode, because I just didn't care at all about what was going on. But anyway, the point is, JC Staff isn't as consistent as some other studios are, so I was worried when I heard that they would be the ones doing Shokugeki no Soma. But they have done very well. Very well. They've animated everything really well, especially the foodgasms. That was one of the things I was really worried about, whether or not they would get those right. But they are. They're doing well with that, especially episode 1. That one was hilarious. That one was great. In episode 2, those were good too. It was with the little Soma angels and crap. Episode 3 was Chappelle, you know, and the Honey and Megumi. Then even episode 4 with freaking Fumio. Which be honest, you were scared that Fumio's foodgasm was going to be at her current age. You were afraid of that crap. You know you were. You didn't think it was going to be a flashback. Right? You didn't think that at all, right? But I know when I saw it for the first time, I was afraid. I'm like, oh no, they're not. Oh, please no. But of course it's shonen, and they would never do that. But yeah, it's and Ishiki too. Ishiki's hilarious. But anyway, I'll get to that later. As far as the way that Soma goes is that this first part of the series is pretty much all about introducing characters and getting you acclimated to the atmosphere of Totsuki. Alright, so we haven't really gotten into the plot yet. As a matter of fact, it really isn't a plot in the story. You know, all it is Soma trying to make it through high school and become a good chef that can surpass his father. Okay, like that's what it is right now. There's no real overarching story other than the fact that someone wants to get better at cooking. So, like that's until we actually get down to the nitty-gritty of what Totsuki is, and we actually get started with arcs where we start seeing students get cut down, because we hear in episode 3 about how most of the students there are just going to be stepping stones for others, and how by the time this class graduates, there are going to be like significantly less of them. Let's put it that way. They're going to be significantly less than like double digits. Like that. Like right now they're like triple digits, but by the time they finish, it's going to be double digits. Like it's not even triple digits. It's like it might even be in the thousands. But the point is there are a lot of students there, and none of them are going to graduate except for a select few. That's the point. Okay. So once we start getting down to the nitty-gritty, when people start getting shaved off, until we get to there, it's just going to be character introductions and trying to make things funny and enjoyable. Alright, and that's what these first 4 episodes of Soma have been. First episode introduces you to Soma and his father, makes you realize that Soma's dad is actually really, really good. Like, he doesn't act like it. He doesn't let Soma figure it out in terms of like who he really is and how good he really is. But he's really freaking good, and we see that later on when he's in New York. You know, you've got this monk who's like fasting, and he's like, no, screw religion, screw God. You know, if it means tasting this guy's cooking, I'll give up everything. You know, like this dude is making people turn on religion. That's how good his food is. You know. So this guy, and he's well known in freaking the U.S. of all places. You know, not just in Japan. He's well known around the world. You know. So this guy is clearly really, really good, much better than he let on to Soma, at least. Okay, so Soma wants to surpass him, and it's going to be much tougher than he realizes. All right, but the first episode is focused on those two. Second episode introduces us to the God's tongue herself, Arian Nakiri, and Arato Hisako, who is her secretary. So that episode focuses on Soma's rival. his budding rivalry with Arena. Okay, Arena doesn't see that as a rivalry. She just doesn't like the kid and wants him to fail. All right, but she doesn't actually see him as being anywhere near her level. So it's not really a rivalry in that sense. Souma's the only way he sees it. He's the only one who sees it that way. Okay. Then the third episode is an introduction to Totsuki. Introduces us to Megumi, Chappelle, some of the students. Souma goes up and says, you know, I'm just gonna become #1. You all are gonna be stepping stones for me. I will surpass you and graduate #1, which pisses a lot of people off. And we see in episode 4 from yesterday that Ishiki's like, yeah, I heard what you said, and it's gonna be much harder than you think. Because I see you here, like, fanboying over my cooking, you know, and it's very clear you underestimated what us students are capable of. As a matter of fact, you said you want to become #1. What that means is becoming #1 on the Elite 10 Council, and I'm #7 on that council. So if you think you can surpass me that easily, then I like to see you try. But there are still 6 people above me who are even better. All right, so these initial episodes of Souma and the next couple are just going to be introducing characters and getting you acclimated to Totsuki, the Elite 10 Council, and all that. All right, the Shokugeki system, because Shokugeki is an actual thing, but you'll see that later. That's what Souma is right now. It's just trying to be enjoyable while it introduces you to everything. So right now, Souma is really fun. It's a fun anime. I'd say it's the 3rd best this season, behind Origairu, which is #1. Season 2 of Origairu, which I did a first impressions video of just now, and it will probably be uploaded. I don't know when it will be uploaded because I have to render it, but it will be uploaded. And I mentioned this there too, but Origairu Season 2 is currently the best anime airing right now that I'm following, at least. #2 is Unlimited Blade Works. Souma is #3. Okay. So, keep in mind I'm not watching things like I haven't seen Punchline or Show by Rock or anything like that, you know, which are things that are I guess pretty well known in terms of like this season of anime, but I'm not watching them because I'm watching too much already. Though I should drop a couple things. I've already dropped some, like Seraph of the End. Because I'm like, which is another big name, you know, really popular, but at the same time I don't care at all because I read the manga and I went through all this nonsense in the manga and don't feel like going through it a second time because Yuichiro is not a good character, and it makes you think, and it gives you this impression that the series is going to be one way, but then transitions into school romantic comedy for no reason at all. You know, like, then it finally gets back to vampires and stuff, but then it's like it's still really bad because. Not really bad, but it's still not good because Yuichiro is an awful main character and he's naive and does nothing that makes any sense at all, yet he never gets punished for it at all, and everything just so happens to work out. But whatever, okay? I've already dropped a couple things, so maybe I'll go check out Punchline, Show by Rock, whatever, but for right now, Souma, 3rd best anime airing right now, okay? So I'd recommend it. As far as reviewing it weekly goes, there isn't really a need to review these initial episodes because there's nothing to review. It's really straightforward. So while I'm doing this first impressions video, I probably won't start reviewing it. I will review it weekly, just not yet. I'll start reviewing it weekly once we start getting into the nitty-gritty. Once we start getting into like those actual story arcs. Okay, once we get there, then I'll review it. But as for right now, because there are going to be more character introduction arcs. Well, maybe I will. Once we get to Shokugeki, then I'll start reviewing. Maybe it depends. All right. If an episode is really straightforward and doesn't need reviewing, then there's no need to review it. But if it does need reviewing, then I'll review it. How about that? Essentially, I'm not giving you an answer. That's essentially I'm not giving you an answer. I will review it weekly at some point. I just don't know when that point will be. All right. But until then, that's it, you guys. Rate, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at BlacklistOTA. And I'll see you guys next time.